Good day, everyone. Doug Thompson here, president of the Floyd Wickman Training Program. What I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about the listing presentations that we call My Real Estate Presentation. This program was created by Floyd Wickman, my wife Debbie, and myself. And we are very proud of what it has to offer for you and for all of the people within your organization. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to touch off and let you know that, of course, within my real estate presentations, you do receive a listing presentation, a buyer's presentation, or sale by owner presentation, a pre-listing package, and a pre-buying package, all for that low price that you have invested. So what I'd like to do today is I'd like to first demonstrate and go over the actual listing presentation. So let's get started. As you can see, first of all, when you look down here at the bottom left-hand corner, your logo would be added in here, where we have just called it Placeholder Realty for today. You would also be able to go ahead and put in your personal information, meaning, of course, your name, your phone number, and the location to which you live. Now, of course, I've used Kelowna because that's where I live. So, next thing we would do is this would be where we would be at the listing presentation, where we have taken the steps to, first of all, get prepared at your office so you're 100% ready to do the actual listing presentation. Gone over to the people's home, parked across the street, and went in prepared, ready to go, and strutted across the street. Then we get to the front door, we smile, we pay them a compliment, we take them to the kitchen table, and then we do what we call small talk smart or break the ice. What that means is that we talk about anything except real estate until it's time to get started with your presentation. So now we'll move on as if they have given us the cue that it's time to move forward and actually do the presentation. And I will go through it step by step so that I can help you always know how to use these presentations to the maximum that we can help you with so that you'll win more listing presentations more often in your market. So, thank you very much for being here today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I really appreciate you giving me the time to work with you. And what I'd like to do, if I could, please, I'd like to show you how I work. I'm not here for the sheer sake of taking a listing. Anybody can do that. And if what I'd like to do is I'd also like to ask you, have you heard of the expired list? What that is a group of people that have two things in common. First thing is that they and the other real estate agents should have never agreed to work together because they didn't come together as a team. Second of all is the group of people that are on the expired list never got to meet their goals or their dreams because they never sold their home. And you wouldn't want to be part of that group, would you? Well, to make sure that that didn't happen, I put together an infallible marketing system. As a matter of fact, it's a 5-step process. And a 5-step process that will show you exactly how we can help to get your home sold today. That's what you want to do, isn't it? Great. So, what I'd like to do now is, if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and start the 5-step process. Can I do that? Thank you very much. As you can see within the 5-step process here, there are first of this, understand your concern. Second is analyze your property, where we'll get up and we'll go and have a look at your home. We'll customize your marketing plan that's made just for you. We'll talk about price and estimate of net. And then we'll talk a little about forms, details, and timings. Overall, we'll come to a mutual decision that you're okay to work with me and I'm okay to work with you. And how are we doing so far? Great. Okay, perfect. So if you don't mind, what we'll do next then is we'll go ahead and we'll talk about addressing your concerns or understanding your concern, which is just a series of questions that we'll ask you about what your goals and dreams are. So first, when did you first start thinking about selling your home? And so on and so on. I'm not going to take the time to go over each one of these questions because they should make total common sense to you as to the ones that are here. Now keep in mind all the questions that are in this presentation are ones you can keep or you can edit and you can change to wherever suits you best to the ones that you would definitely want in here. One thing that we would suggest though is that make sure that all the questions get progressively more gutsy as you're going along. Just to make sure that you're bringing the reason that they're wanting to sell, their motivation, and are they really ready to work with you? Which obviously emphasizes the last question that you're going to have the guts to ask. And I know, yes, it's a bit of a tough question, but please don't hesitate to ask this question. what would it take to get you to list your home with me today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And of course, that's a tough question, but if you get around to asking it, there's a major reason why you're going to do it. Is here you might find out some hesitation, stalls, or objections that actually might stop you from moving forward, or at minimum, give you something that you need to write down on your talking pad as something you're going to deal with later. Such as, hypothetically, well, we want to interview another agent, or maybe we want a lower commission, or maybe we want to fix it up first, or so on and so on. So we'll make a note on our talking pad that says that this is our challenge that came up at this time, if one did. If it didn't, great. Let's move on to the next slide, which of course is analyze your property. What does this mean? This means it's the time for you to get up, go around, have a look at the home, and talk to the customer about their home. This is your time to shine, as we call it. So what does that mean? That means that go ahead, walk around the house, take everybody with you that should be there, that's obviously on title, and make them please interact with you about their home. Ask them to show you everything that has value within their home so that you are able to go ahead and actually write down and take notes of all the things that they feel are really important to them. Because if they're important to them, chances are they'll be important to somebody else too. So please take your time. Also, make sure during this stage of the game is that you take time to stop and look at, say as an example, that they have a trophy case with a bunch of trophies in there. Please stop and have a look at those trophies because those are critically important to that person or they wouldn't be out on display. If you come to a wall, hypothetically, and there's a wall of family pictures and photos there and there's some grandkids there, ask them about the grandkids. Ask them about, do you have grandkids? How many do you have? They look very, very well looked after, and I'm excited to know a little bit about them and so on. So be engaged. Make sure that their home and their life is part of your life. And here's the major reason why we do this step and why it is so important to us within the success of getting a listing signed. And here's the line, or here's the phrase that Floyd coined. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that is so important. So they will really start to like and love you if you actually show them that you do honestly care about them, their family, and their home. So now that we've accomplished this task and we went around and we've made a bunch of notes, and now we're going to head back to the kitchen table and we sit down and we're ready to get started. Well, when we're ready to get started here now, what are we going to do? We're going to pay them a compliment again just before we get started going on to the next part of the presentation about something you've seen. Hypothetically, if they have a rose garden, you want to definitely comment on the rose garden about those roses were absolutely beautiful and I really appreciated you taking the time to show them to me, and so on. But come back to the kitchen table, make a compliment of some format, bring you back into the presentation and get ready to move forward. So next thing we're going to talk about, of course, is your customized marketing plan that you've created just for them. Of course, it's not created just for them in every situation, unless you're going to take the time to actually customize this particular slide, which you could. So in other words, instead of the picture of the phone, you could easily pop in a picture of their particular home, which of course would make it considerably more personalized to them. And of course, we will show you how to do that edit within the editing videos that Debbie has already sent you. Now, at this point in time, we would talk about our customized marketing plan or our customized marketing services. What it is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is this. My company, my marketing plan, and me. Those are the three areas that I'd like to touch on. And if you don't mind, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to start off and talk a little bit about my company. Now, within my company, we have 5 bullets or points that I'd like to talk a little bit about. And what they are brand recognition, team referral services, cutting-edge technology, proven results, and conveniently located within your community. Now, if you don't mind, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go forward now, and I'd like to actually talk about each one of those areas individually. And then you would go, of course, move forward in your presentation to the first slide, would talk about brand recognition. I haven't done that today because I'm going to try to shorten this process up a little bit for you so that we can get it done a little bit quicker. Now, of course, these 5 bullets that I have here, brand recognition and so on, they're just examples of things that might be important to you and to yourself about your company. Now, of course, if you don't know all these answers or you're a little bit stumped on what to put in here, please go to your manager or your owner, because they definitely have all the answers of the bullets that are most important about your company. Next, let's move on and we'll talk a little bit about the customized marketing plan. Of course, same principle, we will go through the 5 bullets or the 5 points that we think that are the most important about your customized marketing plan that you've generated or created for your particular customer. Now, some of these individual items might do change because of the different customer one way or the other. But again, don't forget, when it comes to marketing, we might end up to generate or create a presentation, a complete new presentation for each different level of home. That way you're able to customize this section, the marketing section, that's made just for that client or just for that customer. So as an example, you might have one that's for very high-end homes, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. Or you might have one for investment properties, hypothetically. You might have one for acreages, hypothetically. So you could end up with several different presentations of listing presentations that, of course, are totally able to be built right within these presentations that match each individual customer that you work for. Because you look more professional if you're delivering a presentation that is more focused on that exact type of business that customer is giving you the chance to work with or work for. So, moving on, as you'll see, we have entered in today some stock slides that are ones that you may or may not decide to use, do represent some of the things that we believe that are important in today's world in the customized marketing plan. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start to go through some of those step by step, so you'll see exactly what we could or you could deliver to your customer as you go through the presentation. As far as marketing goes, of course, you're going to have a customized online marketing plan, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and this is what we offer, and this is what we do. And of course, you go through that now, step by step, all the way through to explain why they should work with you and the benefits of working with you because of your online, offline marketing plan. Next, what is your social media marketing plan? What are you doing? Are you doing Facebook boosts, and are you doing your own personal landing pages for each individual home? And what else are you doing as far as for social media? Are you putting your advertising your homes out there on their own personal websites, or what actually are you doing? You're going to go through that step by step at this point in time. Next, how are you going to communicate on mobile? Is all the information that you're putting out there mobile friendly? Number one, is it able to actually be able to be viewed on an actual phone? I hope so, because it's critically important, because you know and I know a lot of the searches that are done in today's world are done on a telephone for the customer looking at our product. Now, over and above that also, this is another spot that you could actually talk to them about how you want to be communicated with them as far as with your communication, whether you're going to be texting, emailing, phoning, Skyping, FaceTiming. Face-to-face, of course, is preferable when it's time to do anything to do with presenting an offer or obviously doing a listing presentation or anything like that. Face-to-face, belly-to-belly is what we're looking for you to do more and more, because, of course, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, and that's how you're going to emphasize that more when you have the time to actually spend with your customers in today's world. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about professional photography, just because of the fact it's a slide that's here. And now we'll continue to move on through these slides so that you can look at them yourself, and you'll be able to make a decision whether this slide works in your marketing plan or it doesn't. And it's very easy to either delete the slide totally or mask the slide over in the very back end of the program in the editing section, which again, watch the videos and it'll show you exactly how to do that. Professional measuring. Of course, this is one that I think and I hope that you're taking advantage of, is staging. Staging is a very good asset for you as far as marketing goes. And it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it sure helps you in a lot of ways when it comes to a listing presentation. Of course, one of the reasons why staging is so great is it takes the heat or the pressure off of you for telling somebody that they might need to clean up their house, or they might need to declutter a little bit, or get rid of some of that mess that's out there today in their home, and so on. So instead of you being the bad guy or you being the bad lady, it turns out that a stager does that for us, and it sure takes a lot of pressure off of us. So it's a small suggestion, but staging is a very powerful tool for us to take advantage of. Of course, are we doing some kind of a flyer campaign, whether it be an email or whether it be that you're actually printing professional flyers? And please don't just use that boring feature sheet that you get within your MLS, because there are such fantastic tools out there to present and to create professional looking flyers for your homes. You're getting paid a reasonable amount of money in today's world, so please be prepared to invest back into the actual marketing plan of these homes. Are you using video, and in what format are you using video? As far as for yourself in personal marketing, and also talking to them about hypothetically doing a short video just at the beginning of your open house to invite everybody to come, or all of the other different formats of video within marketing today. Now, your step-by-step online lead capture, so that people can actually see that you have a program to generate leads or generate buyers to bring them to your actual home. This is so important today because technology gives us the opportunity to do it without a lot of headache or hassle. We just got to dive into our CRM or our marketing plan to be able to set that all up and make sure those leads are coming to us, and we can actually utilize that from today on, from the day we meet this customer. I hope you're using open houses, because open houses are a great way to generate business. There's a lot of things about an open house that's really important. At the end of the day, what we got to realize is that people are coming to open houses today not just to look at the house. They're actually coming there to interview you as a real estate agent, because they've already looked at you online. They've already went head to toe with you online to know everything that there is to know about you, except get to meet you personally. So when you're doing your open houses, please remember, be your best all the time, because they're there to interview you in some cases. Now, of course, is there value in doing open houses? I believe strongly in open houses. I have a lot of personal success within real estate within open houses, and also my trained students in the program do very well with open houses also. So it's just a suggestion. I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you're going to do it, please make sure and let your customers know that you're going to be actively involved in open house. So now we move on next to a little bit about me. Well, you. And I hope that you're able to come up with some really good reasons why people should work with you. Now, of course, we've got just 5 here as just ones to get us started, as we've already said. But you're going to be able to edit these and change these and make them specific just for you. Now, of course, once again, you're going to create a slide, and behind here, we'll actually back up each one of these slides or each one of these bullets why they should talk with you and work with you personally to list their home. And I hope you can easily come up with 5. You can put more if you want, but at minimum, I would suggest that you use 5. Have a backup to be able to make you look as strong as you possibly can. Next, we're going to go to the next important part, which is price. But before we go to price, we have to remember we have to ask another really tough question. Don't be afraid to use this slide, guys, because this slide is very powerful and important. What this slide is all about is the power of to be able to ask the tough question. And what is the question? Well, there's lots of different ways to deliver it, but at the end of the day, this is the way I like to deliver it is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you're okay with my company, my marketing plan, and me, and assuming we can agree on price, would you go ahead and list with me today? Well, this is where I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that if they have got a challenge, now is where it's going to pop out. And why is it going to pop out right here? It's because you have sold them on you lots over the last maybe 35, 45 minutes. And they're 100% comfortable with you, and they like you, but they may have some challenges. So let's just go ahead and talk a little bit about some of those challenges that might come up. And let me show you how you would be able to handle those challenges if and when that situation came up. Now, remember, within our presentation, we suggested to you that it's a very mobile presentation, that you're able to move around inside very easily. And this is where it's going to come to light. That's exactly what I meant by that and how easy it is to use. So let's say, as an example, first off today, somebody says to you that they want to interview 2 more agents. And maybe they've already made those appointments and they're for later in the day today. Well, you're going to say, no problem. You probably have a good reason for feeling that way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Do you mind if I ask what it is? They'll maybe tell you that a friend suggested they do it or whatever the situation is, and that's fine. Then you're going to say, what do you think the drawbacks to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would be if you did not interview those individual realtors? Well, I don't really see any negative in doing it, but it's kind of something that I sort of suggested I wanted to do, so I think I probably want to do it. So then you're going to go into the next step, which is called isolation, and what we're going to do is we're going to say, is that the only thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that's holding us back from moving forward today to actually go ahead and actually list your home with me today? Well, yeah, that is really the only thing. Okay, well, that's fantastic. So if I could show you beyond a shadow of a doubt that by going ahead and listing or looking at another realtor or another company, it's not necessarily something you need to do because I've already done the work for you. So let me ask you, have you heard of a comparative shopping analysis? No, what's that? Well, what it is it's an overview of the different companies that are out there today, and I've done all the work to be able to look and show you exactly, step by step, which company offers the most services and ultimately is probably the best company for you to work with. So if you don't mind, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the comparative shopping analysis. Do you mind if I do that? No, please do that. Okay, so you would take your mouse and you would jump up here, the hot button, you would click on the hot button and move it on down to comparative shopping analysis. So just click on comparative shopping analysis and boom, there it is. There's your comparative shopping analysis. Well, let's face it, this tool works very well and does a heck of a good job to help you sell your company. Needless to say, under company number 1 would be your company. Company number 2 would be your closest competitor. Company number 3 would be the next closest competitor, and so on. Notice we put for sale by owner on the far right hand side, and you need to do that because for sale by owner in most markets holds somewhere between 8 and 11% of the market share in your community. And it also works well in case somebody says they're interested in putting their home on the market themselves. And we'll deal with that a little later. Now, how do we handle or how do we deal with this particular objection handling tool or hot button? Well, as you can see on the left-hand side here, there's many items that I put in that I believe are very good as far as items that are services that I provide. Now, you're going to be able to edit those or change those to fit your situation and what you believe is correct, no problem. But at least they give you a start on what to be able to use in the meantime. Now, as a whole, when we look at these particular items, there are services, as you can see, that they diminish as they're going down, meaning that less and less companies have these services as we move forward. Now, as you'll notice on the very bottom, there's 4 items there, or 3 items there, that are just for me, personally, meaning my company or me. Now, of course, they are website, licensed assistant, and me. Now, I'm saying that in this particular case that I'm utilizing in a situation where there is not a lot of people or other realtors that have personal assistants or, in today's world, virtual assistants, helping them out to be able to do their work. Now, of course, you're going to adjust or change those so that it matches more accurate to your market and to you. But there's one that is critically important on here that is always the most important. And, of course, that is me or you. So how are we going to handle or deliver this process? So what we're going to say is, let's say as an example that the company that they were going to interview with is company number 3. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you very much for giving me a chance to show you the comparative shopping analysis. And let's have a look at the company you were talking to. XYZ was the company you were talking about, and they're right here under line 3. That company offers a lot of services, and I would never grade or say anything negative about any of my competition. But what I'd like to show you today is, as you can see from there, their company offers these services, my company offers all of these services, and I got to ask you, which one of these services that you see today would you like to eliminate from your marketing plan? Pause. Now, another lesson to learn right there. Next one that speaks loses. So, you got to learn when you deliver a close, you have to be quiet or be silent until the other person speaks, because the next person that talks loses on that particular close. So, they'll of course say, well, of course, I want them all. Well, there's only one way you're going to get them all, plus me, is that you work with me. And now, as you noticed over here on question or company number 5, this is the other company you're looking for. And again, they don't have me. And you do want to work with me, don't you? Quiet. Wait. Okay. That's how we can use the comparative shopping analysis to try to wrap the customer up, to be able to see that the bottom line is that we offer many more services than any other company in the market today. And of course, if you don't know how to build this, or you're struggling with the information that should be here, please go to your owner or your manager, because they have the information that can help make this complete and ready for you to be able to use. It is a powerful tool. This tool also works perfectly for commission. And let me just point out a couple more points really quickly while we're here under comparative shopping analysis, in case it came up. Mr. and Mrs. Seller wants to take a lesser commission. You're going to say, no problem. You're going to go through the dialogue I've already given you. And then at the end of the day, you're going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you want me to take a lesser commission, I would have to eliminate some of these great services out of your marketing plan. Which service would you want eliminated out of your marketing plan? Well, I want them all. I couldn't agree with you more. Having them all is very, very important. And then I got to ask you, which one of these services do you think, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is going to bring you that one specific offer that you're going to want to take to be able to sell your home? I don't know. I couldn't agree with you more. How about the other thing is this? Which of these services that we're offering today is going to bring that one second offer or third offer or fourth offer to create a multiple offer situation, which of course always generates more money in your pocket? You think you'd like to eliminate any of these services today to be able to eliminate that chance to have that multiple offer situation? No, I wouldn't. There you go. Any other questions? Maybe we should go ahead. What do you think? Okay, great. So again, this particular objection handling tool, hot button, works very well to be able to handle that particular objection if it comes up also. Works the same way with for sale by owners, of course, to be able to show them all the services that you offer. So that's just one example of how to use the comparative shopping analysis. Now, what happens if they say, we're not in a hurry, we have lots of time, I want to wait 30 days or 60 days? You would say, no problem. Have you heard of the real estate timing analysis? No, what's that? Well, it's an overview of the amount of timing it takes a seller to put their home in the market, get it sold, get their money, and move. By knowing that, you'll know exactly how much time it's really going to take to get you and your family moved to the next destination. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the timing analysis to see if we really have as extra time as we think we do to complete this process. Fair enough? Okay, great. Let's demonstrate that to you. So now, on your talking pad, of course, you would write down wait time, marketing time, adjustment, marketing time, and so on, just so that you can demonstrate it right onto your talking pad. Because again, in the art of presenting is now you're presenting, and the power is you're going to actually show these people step by step how much time it is that they're going to actually lose if they go ahead and try to not actually sell their home right away. So how would we present this? Wait time. Well, if it's 30 days they wanted to wait, we'd write in 30 days, obviously, right here under 30 days. Now, if you were to move it forward and hypothetically it was the end of December now, then we would move it ahead 30 days to the end of January. Now, marketing time. Hypothetically, under marketing time, if it was 30 days that you would actually also, or let's say 40 days to make it easy, that you were going to have for marketing time, for average marketing time in your area, which I know in some of your areas it's 7 days or 10 days or very short, but use today for 40 days as an example. And that would, of course, put you forward to the first week in March. Now keep in mind, these people are thinking they want to move in the beginning of March, middle of March in today's world. So now the next thing you go to is adjusted marketing time. Adjusted marketing time is the amount of time that it takes to have approximately 50% of the actual marketing time, because of we use it as a rule of thumb, 50%. And the reason that we do that is for this, is because of the fact that when we look at the adjusted marketing time, true marketing days is not correct due to two things. One is expired listings, because if it was true, the expired listing would continue on and on and on down the road, and the average days on market would be way higher. The second thing is something that we all know, one of the oldest tricks in the book, of course, is the relist. So people have it on the market for 60, 90 days, they take new pictures, they relist it, look like it started all over again. So in that, it adjusts the real marketing time. So for today's example, we're going to say that it's 20 days. So if we said it was 20 days, then that's going to take us into the third week in March. So here we would have wrote the third week in March. Now, processing time, we're looking at the fact that we're looking at how are we going to deal with processing time. That's the days of subject twos that you have in your particular market, or condition dates. So therefore, it might be 7, might be 10, might be 3, whatever it is, but we'll say it's 10 just for today's conversation piece. So that's going to take us now to the end of March, which we would be writing right here as where my arrow is showing. Next, we go to possession. So possession, of course, is the number of days after all the conditions are removed. So you might use 30, you might use 45, or you might use 60, depending on the time frame that you want to impact, or how far out you want to make this look, so that the customer realizes they don't have as much time as they think to go ahead and make this happen. So what we're looking at is in the possession now, we're going to say, let's say for today's discussion, we say 60 days. So of course, we're already at the end of March, so if we said 60 days here, and we moved it out, that's going to take us all of April and all of May. So now, when we move down to the final line of time down here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it looks to me like you're going to be moving, somewhere around the end of May, maybe the beginning of June. Now, didn't you say that you wanted to move at the end of March? You did? Oh, it looks like we've created ourselves a problem. If we wait that other 30 days, we're really, really stretching it. So I don't know what we should do. I think maybe we should look at getting started today rather than waiting. As a matter of fact, in all fairness, from what it shows us here today, we probably should have been doing this 30 days ago, not today. Fair enough? Okay, great. Let's get started. And that's how we would handle this particular hot button called the real estate timing analysis. Now, let's move forward. And let's say that they said to you that they wanted to actually go ahead and sell it themselves. Well, if that's the situation, we would jump down way to the bottom, and we would go have a look at the for sale by owner founder slide that we have implemented into our presentations. Now, what this says is it's self-explanatory. You could read it for them, or you could demonstrate it for them. But at the end of the day, note, here's the most important part of this slide, which is in all of your presentations, is the Wall Street Journal, August 3rd, 2011, is the source of this particular article. And this is right out of the Wall Street Journal, so you don't have to second guess of where this information came from. Now, how do you present this? You're going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I see that you're thinking about selling it yourself, and I respect that, have no problem with that. Other than this, have you ever heard of ForSaleByOwner.com? Well, of course, that's what why I decided or think I should get my home sold. Okay, well, let me show you something before we move on, if we could. The owner of ForSaleByOwner.com decided to try it on his own. He, of course, tried for a long time, 6 months as a matter of fact, and couldn't get the job done. Then, all of a sudden, he went ahead and decided to list his home and put it on the market. Lo and behold, with the right real estate agent, the right marketing plan, and all the combination of the package of what we put forward to be able to get your home sold, he netted an extra $150,000 in his pocket. Now, if the owner of ForSaleByOwner.com, with all his time, money, and energy that he has to spend on utilizing his service, can't get his home sold for the right amount of money, what do you think? How do you think it's going to go for you? That's how we would handle this particular objection or stall if it came up. So those are the few that I'm going to touch on today. There are many more within our hot button list here, as you can see, that we can actually take advantage of. But those ones are the ones I'm going to touch on for today. Now, another thing that you can look at is just for fun is this. Let's say they said to you, well, back there when we were talking about marketing, you were talking something about professional measuring. What was that you were talking about? Oh, okay, well then you just move your cursor over on top of marketing, and immediately you can see the drop-down menu shows up, and you can move down to professional measuring, and you can click right on it, and bang, there's the slide that you needed to be able to deliver and or talk about professional measuring to that particular customer, because that was the question that they had. Now, the next most important thing for us to do is we need to remember where we left off. And of course, it's pretty easy to do, and it's very easy to find. So all we have to do is remember we were inside marketing, and where we were at, we asked this question last, just before we moved on to that section. If we're okay with our company, if you're okay with our company, our marketing plan, and me, and assuming we could agree on price, would you list your home with me today? Well, let's say yes, we love you and we're okay and we want to go ahead. We would now move ahead and we would start talking about price. Now, of course, is it true that you're going to try to work and create a fair price and an estimate of net for these people? Of course, that's what you're going to try to do. Now, what does estimate of net mean? That means, of course, the amount that the home's going to sell for, minus the commission, minus any minor incidentals, such as maybe a lawyer fee and a ballpark estimate of GST or any other taxes that are applicable at this point in time. Now, we move on, of course, to our pricing triangle. Now, how do we handle this, or how do we deliver this? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is how we would go ahead and actually deal with the pricing triangle. There's three areas within pricing that we need to cover. First of all, wholesale. Wholesale is a value that is considerably less than the normal selling price of a home, maybe 75, maybe 70%, maybe 80% of the value of your home. And because you need to sell it fast and you need to make sure it happens immediately. Would you be prepared to sell your home at that price today? No? Okay, no problem. Then we go to retail. Retail is an arm's length transaction. A strong seller and a strong buyer agree to come together and have a fair price between them. And at the end of the day, they're happy with that price. That's a retail price. Then, of course, we talk about your price, which we haven't established yet, but we're going to get there very soon. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to look down below, and we're looking at the pricing triangle. And how does that work is this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you can give me enough days, meaning on the right-hand side, to get your home marketed, plus we promise we'll be able to get you the maximum amount of money, which is 100% of the value, if you give us enough time. Now, if you shorten that time up, well, of course, then we're going to be moving up the triangle from 100%, maybe 98, 95, 90, depending on just how short a time they actually put you into as far as a timing problem within delivering the pricing triangle. Now, the last but most important way, or another way to deliver pricing that is linked directly to this, is the way you do your CMA. Now, our CMA, we call it a highest price analysis, not a CMA. This is just another way of saying CMA, and other people don't know what CMA means. So in saying that, we can go ahead and we call it a highest price analysis. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the highest price analysis. Are you okay with that? Great. Okay, well, what I've done today is I brought three areas within the highest price analysis that we're going to go over. The first is the expireds, the second is the actives, or your competition, and the third is the sold. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'd like to do is I'd like to work out a price that you're okay with, that I'm okay with, and we know in our heart of hearts it is the right price. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get started? Now, you haven't done the research before you got there, of course, and you'll have 3 or 5 or 7, as many as you can get in each one of those three areas. Now, within the next step is the most critical part. It's totally different the way you might have presented price before. And here's how you do it, is that you don't highlight, circle, underline, or anything as far as the pricing goes when you're going to do it. What you do is you go ahead and you actually give the 5 expired sheets to your customer at this point in time. Of course, I'm just using 5 as an example today. So I say to the customer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you could please take a look at these 5 particular properties that don't have any highlights or anything on them, just the feature sheets of each home. And could you please tell me which one of these homes matches the closest to the home that for you, to your home back and forth? Okay, great. And be quiet and wait. Let them do the work. They'll work and they'll look and they'll come up with one and they'll say, I think this one, and they'll hand it back to you. And you say, fantastic. And then you write down on your talking pad, expireds. And then you write down the price of that first sheet that they gave you. Then you say, if you can do me one more favor, could you find the next closest one that matches your home? Okay, well, perfect. So then what we end up to do is now we have the next closest one that is there. Now, that next closest one is going to give you your range now for your expireds, whatever that is. The 2 prices connected tells you the range. Now, do the same thing with the actives. Show them again the active price as far as the 5 that you have available to them, and have them pick one, write it down on your talking pad, have them pick another one, write it down on your talking pad. Now you've got a range of your actives. Next, go ahead and do the same thing with the sold. Now, as you notice, you have now helped find the price, but who really picked the price? They did, because they picked the price that's going to match their particular home. Excuse me. Psychologically, they have now decided what their home is truly worth, instead of you presenting it to them. If you present price to them, they won't believe you. If you go ahead and let them present price to themselves, they will believe them themselves. Now, let's say that they decide they still want to put the price on their home to be way up in that expired section, whatever that price is, and they're saying to you that, here's where I want to price my home. Well, you get to say to them now, please, this is a very good delivery, is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I got to ask you, did you want to actually list your home, or did you want to sell your home? Buy it. Now, the reason that you do that is because, of course, if they put their home up into the top price that is expired, odds are it's going to expire, just like the rest of them. And that's not what they want to do. Now, you can guide them from there to try to get them close to your active price or his competition or her competition price in the market today. Make sure that they're priced more accurately and it works better for you. Because let's face it, the more accurately your homes are priced, the quicker they're going to sell. So I hope that helps you when it comes to pricing. It sure worked for me for hundreds and hundreds of listing presentations that I did throughout my career, and it's a very powerful pricing strategy. So next, let's say that they've agreed now on a price, and you've agreed and it's a price that you're happy with. Let's move on to the next part of the presentation. The next part that we're going to go through is called the forms, details, and timing. At the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the forms. So if you're okay with it, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over all the forms that I have here today that would represent the forms that you may have to actually go ahead and sign sooner or later in the process of actually selling your home and buying a home. So let's start off with a listing contract. Now, needless to say, as you present this to them, it's a blank contract. It does not have their names or anything about them in this contract. You might have highlighted the most important or pertinent information that you're wanting to cover as you go through this presentation. Now remember, a very good way to deliver these forms is to be able to say to them, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I didn't create these forms, my office didn't create these forms, they're created by the public at large. Now, how they're actually created is there's people from the real estate board, there's usually a legal entity or a lawyer involved, there's usually people from the actual public involved, and of course there's people that are on the board that have went through these forms to make sure they're completely fair for you. So therefore, they are designed for your benefit at the end of the day. And again, as I said, let's go through some more of the forms. Now, you might go through the offer to purchase, you might go through an amendment form, you might go through, whichever forms it is that you have to deal with or you want to deliver to them or explain to them. Again, why do we deliver these forms now? Because it's our goal to show them that, again, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And I promise you, this couple of minutes that you'll spend here is very valuable time, because you know it and I know it. We have signed papers that we didn't know what we were signing at the lawyers, maybe our mortgage documents or so on, and we just blind signed and hoped we did it right. Well, let's be thorough with our customers and they'll feel a lot more comfortable with us. And let's not forget that why are we doing this? When this process is all over, we want these customers to send us referrals. And how do they send us, or why do they send us referrals? Because they trusted us through this process, and we did what we said we would do, sometimes more, but never less. So important. Now, the details, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what that means is there's the little details that are within completing a transaction. And of course, there might be the conditions, or it might be all the other things that come in making sure that the deal comes together. But I want you to promise there's always that one little detail that is a bump in the road just before the possession date closes. I don't know what it's going to be this time, but it's always there. And I promise you, it's my job to be there to catch you, to make sure that all of the details get hammered out and ironed out before you actually sell your home or hand over the keys. Fair enough? Okay, perfect. And when we come to the timing, we're going to talk a little bit about, the amount of time that it's going to take, the amount of time it's going to be for the possession date, and make sure that I've given you enough time to get everything done that you need to do, and ultimately make sure that when you sell your home that the timing matches for us to make sure we have enough time to get out and actually find you a new home that matches on the same day, because we surely don't want you to living in the streets, and that's for sure not going to happen. It's never happened before, and you're definitely not going to be the first one within our organization for that to happen to. Would you believe me on that? Okay, perfect. So now that we've covered off on the forms, details, and timing, I'd like to move forward, and I'd like to say that together, I believe we can achieve more, and we can work together to get your home sold. Now, at this point in time, at my age, the way I do business, I would do exactly as this fella did. Reach across the table, shake hands, and say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to work for you, and I promise I'll be there for you every step of the way. Then I would move over to my thank you slide, and I would start to do, as we call it, the Wickman organization, wrap up. And what that means is exactly that. You're going to make it look like you're done, you're wrapping up. Hand the listing contract to them, explain it to them top to bottom. You don't stop and negotiate commission or negotiate the amount of days that you actually are going to work together. You do it just like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as you can see, here's my company. Here's you. Here's the amount of commission I charge. Here's the number of days that we're going to work together. And if you could, please just go ahead and endorse that right at the bottom, and we'll get this ball rolling. Fair enough? And then they can hand them the pen and they'll sign. If you did all this job right, team, I promise you, you're going to get more listings signed more often. It's been my great pleasure to actually go through this point-by-point presentation and try to help you to be more professional in the real estate industry today, and help you to understand how my real estate presentation works. And I promise you, I'm only a phone call away. And remember, my phone number is here on this presentation. 780-608-3500 is my cell number. And you can call me anytime on that number, and I will go through anything else that is on this marketing plan and within this listing presentation that you need to clarify or you need help with. I'm there for you all the way. All you have to do is ask. Thanks again being part of our team, and we look forward to working more with you in the near future. And happy selling. Bye-bye.